welcome back. We're going to go into our story time with our virtual learning. And the story that we're going to read today is One Little Mouse. And it's by Dori Chaconas, and it's illustrated by Luyên Pham. So I know that Dori Chaconas is the author. What does that mean? Yes, that means that she wrote the words. And the illustrator is Luyên Pham. What did she do? Yes, the illustrator draws the pictures. Now, before we read our book, good readers always look at the cover and we try to figure out what the story may be about. And this is called predicting. So when we predict, it helps us to better understand the story. So let's look at the cover of the story. Look over at your cover, One Little Mouse, and tell me what you think the story is going to be about. Let's talk about the characters. Remember, the characters are the people or animals that are in the story. Who's one of the characters? Yes, it's this little mouse. So we know that the story is about a mouse. The next thing good readers look at is the setting. What does that mean? What's the setting? Yes, it's where the story took place and when. So when I look at my cover, where is the little mouse? Yes, it looks like the little mouse is outside, maybe in the meadow or in some kind of field. When does the story happen? Well, it looks like it's daytime because I see blue skies right here. So it must be daytime, or maybe right before it gets dark. Now, is it real or fantasy? What do you think? Yeah, I think it's fantasy too. How can you tell just by looking at the cover? Yeah, he's laying up on top of a mushroom, kind of reclined back with his hands folded, taking it easy. And I've never seen a mouse laying on top of a mushroom, just kind of laid back, taking it easy. I've never seen a real mouse do that. So I'm thinking it's probably fantasy too. Now the title of the story can also tell you what the story's about. And look at the title again, One Little Mouse. So sometimes the title will tell us the main idea of the story. Remember, the main idea is what the whole story is about. So this whole story must be about one little mouse. I bet maybe it's about the adventures that this one little mouse can get into. I don't know, we'll have to find out. And to find out, we need to read it. But before we can read it, I want to talk about sequence again. Remember, what is sequence? Yes, sequence is the order in which things happen. Why do we have to have sequence or order? Yes, so you can understand the story. If it wasn't in the correct order, we wouldn't understand it. We would not know what was going on with this one little mouse because we would be so confused it wouldn't make sense. So the sequence of a story is very important. I'm also going to talk about something called inferences. It's just a big fancy word for drawing conclusions. Now, when we draw conclusions, that's when we use clues to figure out something. A lot of times the author doesn't tell you with her words or his words. Sometimes you have to look at the clues to figure out what the author is saying. So let's do a little activity using drawing conclusions or inferences. Look over at your pictures. Tell me what you see. Yes, I see a cake, and I see a party hat, and I see some gifts. What do you think it looks like a birthday party. Did I tell you it was a birthday party? No, you just figured it out using the clues. That's called drawing conclusions or inferences. Look at your next picture. What's going on here? Yes, I see a school bus. I see a book bag. I see books. What is that picture all about? Yes, it's all about school. I didn't tell you it was about school. You figured it out by looking at the clues. Okay, one more time. Are you ready? Look at your clues. I see an umbrella. I see a raincoat. I see some rubber boots. What's happening in this picture? Yes, it must be a rainy day. Someone must be going out and needs all of these items in order to stay dry. So you drew conclusions. You made inferences. You used the clues to figure out what was going on. Sometimes you have to do that as a reader. So when we're reading our story, One Little Mouse, you may have to use that skill of drawing conclusions or making inferences to understand it better. Okay, friends, we have done a lot with our story, One Little Mouse, and we haven't even read it yet. We've made predictions from looking at the title and the cover of the book. We have talked about the story elements, which are the characters, the setting. Is it real? Is it fantasy? We know that we have to pay attention to the sequence of the story so that we'll understand it better. We know that we may have to draw some conclusions or make inferences about the story. Click on the next slide and you will see many videos about using our story elements, sequence, and drawing conclusions or making inferences to help you better understand the story.